Soccer Dad Pod. We're back. It's been I would say it's been a minute, but it's been a little bit more than a minute.
It's been many minutes.
Yeah. I kind of came in with this because I kind of got the permanent nasty note from Spotify about the music. They basically said, don't ever do it again.
Wow.
So
don't ever do what music again?
Apparently, really rich artists that have you money get irritated when losers like us play a little bit in the background, and we don't pay them directly. So here's what I'm doing. I'm gonna honor the independent artists because number one, they don't have teams of lawyers that can shut us down, and number two, it promotes them. So we're gonna do that. So I came up with this song today, titled "Pain" by the Manis Brothers here out of St. Louis, in honor of your pain, Zach, the other day. I think we were at I don't think I know. We were at the graduation party.
Yeah.
And you came up, and in all due fairness, you have a lot going on in your world.
Yeah.
You know, your babies are all growing up. They're all leaving the house. You're emotional. You probably had a few beers because your family was there. Oh, wait, not because of...
Dude, can we talk about the nipples? Your nipples were everywhere.
Maybe because you're rubbing ice on them in front of everybody. Can you talk about that?
True story. Yeah, so I'm like...
And then your son pinched them after you did that.
I could not look at them. I mean, they were just out there for everyone to see.
Like
did you
father,
get a procedure done?
Like son. It's called midlife.
Yeah.
Chili.
Holy, number 2 erasers?
So checking in on you, Zach. How's it going? Okay. Oldest just turned 21.
She did.
She's been gone for some time.
Yeah, she's home though. She's got an externship at BJC, and on the not labor and delivery, but the mommy and me floor. So postpartum, and then she's working at SSM St. Mary's on labor and delivery. So I mean, she's 1 year away from being out in the world for real as a nurse.
So she's kind of in the quote adult world already.
Yeah, she is. But she's home for the summer. Grady's back home. And he's playing on the under-23s with Trit and Drew, and that's going swimmingly, I guess. I mean, it's a lot of kids, and it's a new league, so it's going to be kind of yet to be seen level of competition, all that kind of fun stuff. But he's training his ass off every day still. And then Beckett is going to be starting high school in the fall. So, yeah, a lot going on.
So are you sad, happy? Because the reason I played it was you said, I'm legitimately sad.
Yeah.
What'd he say? I miss you guys right after you tweaked his
true.
nipples.
Yeah, after the assault, I did mention I miss you guys. Well, because we haven't hung out in forever. And if we did, I would be with Jared maybe for a little bit, or I'd be with JB, but never the three of us. It's been a while.
And I think it's for you, you've been in the mode of youth soccer with Grady for however long, and it's probably somewhat bittersweet because it's what you know. I mean, for 12 years you were dropping kids off, and you were going to the bar, or you were going to games, and your world has changed a little bit. So it's probably just an adjustment overall.
And you know, Beckett going into 8th grade with a new rule change again, going back to grade year. If he doesn't make the Lafayette High School team, that might be the end of soccer for our family for youth. And that's until my niece, who's 8 months old, grows up.
It's really not a bad thing either.
I'm not upset about that. I am upset about hanging out with people I like and watching. So I've been watching Lafayette High School girls soccer because Grady's girlfriend
God, you
plays.
are bored.
Hey, they beat Eureka last night, and they're moving on to the second round of districts. So yeah, I'm excited.
Okay.
What about you, man? You got your pool open, your oversized bathtub, your pass-out chamber.
Yeah.
How's that thing going?
I haven't been there yet. It was open today, and I'm going to go there and scrub on her for a couple days in a row until we get her right, and we'll see how that goes. But just busy with work, and we're doing the summer thing, and kind of staying out of the whole whatever Drew's doing as far as this summer.
Yeah.
He's driving. I don't go to it. I don't go to his practice. I mean, really, there's practice games and other games that I haven't been to. So I don't know. I'm kind of bored
you know
too.
what? Well, I mean, we can talk about that. The league, what is it? Midwest Premier League, or
Yes.
is it?
Midwest Premier League.
Okay.
And our boys are in the Gateway East Conference. So
It basically went from 6 teams last year, it's small, to like it feels like 47.
it's pretty big.
Like St. Louis alone has what? 7 teams, 8 teams.
Great Lakes East has Oakland County, FC Pontiac. Oh no, sorry, that's Gateway. So hold on.
Yeah, that's up north.
That was. Hold on. There's also Great Lakes East. Gateway is Boffs, who we've had on the show.
Yep.
Gallagher, Southeast Soccer Academy, which I don't know. United Capital City Athletic, which is up in I think Burlington, Iowa. ATAR, which we've talked to. Pearl City, I don't know.
Iowa, Muscatine, I believe.
Okay. The St. Louis Development Academy, so the SDA, Donegan's Club has a group.
Pseudo talks to
X-Club.
them.
X Club. The St. Louis Fusion has a team. The Stars have a team. FC Kirkwood and 314 Soccer Club. So there are 11 teams in just that one Gateway East division.
Well, and I
should have
think-
just went to Veta, Brentwood.
Well, and I think from a Gallagher standpoint, I think it's new. It's their first year, and they had an influx of kids. So there's an extremely high amount of numbers there, and I think by just age and numbers in general, we'll see what happens as far as how they do it. But I don't even peg Drew to even. I mean, he's just training with the group because there's so many older guys back. That I think that, and I don't know where that falls for Grady because Grady's got a taste of college for a little bit. So hopefully he gets some time because he's considered one of the older guys back because his youth career is over. It's amazing. I mean, we have another year of youth soccer.
I
You
know.
do.
I don't want to say, but yeah, we have another year of self-loathing and road trips.
Yep.
Yeah, so a lot going on. So today's episode, what we're going to be doing, we're going to be bouncing through a ton of topics. We're going to bring our guest on after the break. But to give you a little bit of a preview, some of my notes that I would like to talk about would be kind of like summer soccer, the selection season, maybe a little bit of a tutorial, maybe a little bit of a therapy session for parents listening that are all freaking out because they haven't got their phone call yet, right?
Yeah,
definitely want to talk about that. I want to talk about the Instagram quote influencers that are just flooding my algorithm, and I loathe a lot of them, and a couple in particular I want to talk about.
Yeah,
and you know I'm going to.
Yeah,
Jared.
yeah.
You know
I see
a little hate for soccer
stepping in what
coming
you're
in
smelling.
here. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some MLS updates. We're going to talk a little bit about World Cup's around the corner. Team announcements are coming out. A lot of the nations are putting up these videos highlighting, the players getting announced. And there's a couple that I want to talk about that I think are going to be interesting. You've got a couple things on your list as well.
I do.
Preview.
English Premier League and the sadness that might be hitting me this time next Saturday.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Depending on how Leeds shows up against West Ham.
Do they show championship games on TV?
Yes, on ESPN Plus.
No, you got You got to go to
they
the
don't.
public library and go to the back section. Anyway, we're gonna do that. Our friend, our buddy, Mr. Chuck Nash, decided to open the patio up for us. Actually, didn't open it up for us. It was open.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
He said, "Yes, you can take a table. Just run a tab, please."
Yeah.
We're
Thanks,
over
Chuck,
here-
for the tab.
Yeah, Fenton Bar and Grill. Just quick shout out to these guys because if you're ever around the area, if you're in St. Louis and you're over at Sock Park for a game or whatever, you've never been here, you got to come across the way and just get the trashed wings. Whatever you do, order them to go. Whatever you do.
Agreed.
Can we talk about, like, kind of before we go into break, just the one thing that I kind of just saw, and I just want to get your guys' take for it, see if you guys saw it. So, and I asked, but I'm just going to go right into it because you didn't say yes or no. Did anybody catch the Dallas-San Jose game?
Oh, we're gonna talk about that.
Okay, so can I just go with it and we just
Go.
talk about it?
Yeah, no, let's do it.
So here's this is what I'm here for. So Sam Sarver, who is a second-year pro out of Indiana, American
alum.
kid,
Yep.
and just has a chip on his shoulder.
Probably
maybe
because of
bigger
that
than-
hairline.
Maybe bigger than Clint Dempsey. He hasn't been as successful, but we'll see where this kid goes. So San Jose, who by all accounts has been power ranked number 1 all year, and they've been pretty good, and they've lost 2 straight. So Dallas goes up on them, 1 goal. And then San Jose ties it, and then Dallas goes up 2 goals, or by another, it's 2-1. San Jose ties it again, and then Sam Sarver scores a late goal. And I'm not giving the recap of the score or the game or who won, but did anybody see the celebration in front of the San Jose supporters group?
There was like 7 things about it that I thought was awesome. Go ahead.
I'm here for this because like people are gonna be like, I don't like it. Run back like you've been there before. But they're throwing shit at him. They're throwing beers. They're throwing waters, and he gets done with the celebration, and just out of the blue, out of the corner of his eye, he catches a Modelo tall boy. And he goes into breaking that thing open and pouring all of it all over his face, maybe some in his mouth. Who knows? I'm sure he doesn't.
The video I saw was definitely near his mouth.
I mean,
He was, he was gonna shotgun it, and then he's like, "Oh, wait a second,
I'm on TV.
Has
I might just pour
Modelo
it on my head.
sponsored him yet? I
they
mean,
better.
the amount of clicks and the amount of views, the video that I saw, he's my favorite soccer player in the country.
Here's what I don't know if you know. I'm sure you noticed it, because I'm going to talk about the exact same goal, same celebration. He scores it. It's basically extra time. It's over. They win.
Yep.
And he runs over to the wall for a celebration, and and he had this planned out. Points to a couple of his buddies, like, "Come on, let's do it!" Right so here comes the TikTok dance of the day, right? And they're going over to the wall, the ad wall, to go sit on it, and another teammate was right there trying to run up, and he's looking at teammate, basically saying, "No, go away." Go away. Like totally dissing his teammate. Like, who the fuck are you? Go away. And then they get up on the wall and they do the scuba celebration and just fall backwards. And I'm like, how'd you like to be that guy?
You're not included.
Like, you're not cool enough to fall off a wall. Like, that's how, like, whoever
That
you
guy's
are.
going to have FOMO the rest of his life.
I saw another picture. It could be AI. I'm the type of guy that believes everything I see on the internet.
Yeah, 'cause
But
you're over 40.
there's a picture of him, and like I said, could be AI, but it's him in a gas station later on, either the day next, and he's got 3 6-pack Modelos in his hand. I hope it was him.
Well, coming from Bloomington, good on him, man. I like that.
Like, what does Yegs think? What does Roby think? What does the whole IU club think?
I can tell
Are they
you
just
this,
cheering that on?
because you know my neighbor, right? You know who my neighbor
Yeah.
is. Goaty.
Yep.
I pulled up in the neighborhood yesterday. He had like 4 cases of Modelo coming out of his truck. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be talking to the big redhead here. We're going to be running up and down this list of things in soccer. And appreciate all of you guys listening. Like, review, follow, share. We'll be right back. This is the Random Local Biz feature of the week. Today I'd like to tell you about sushi. Not any sushi, Zushi Sushi, located in Webster at Laclede and Watson. Bottom line, it's amazing. But you have kids that only eat brown food. Guess what? You're in luck. Orange Chicken Bowl to the rescue. Don't settle for California rolls from the Schnucks counter. Go with the Nicky Nicky Yum Yum from Zushi and tell them Soccer Dad Pod sent you. They will smile and say thanks, then walk into the kitchen and tell everyone you're crazy. If you'd like a shout out for your biz, shoot us a PM.
So who do we promote now?
Oh, this one you're going to love. This was going to be first, but I thought Payne was more appropriate. This is Jeremiah Johnson.
Okay,
yeah.
I like him. Hey, I was saying, we were kind of coming back in.
Well, hold on real.
Go ahead.
No. Hey, don't jump over the music, Jared.
Okay, my bad. My bad. Music means something on this show.
Did you? I think Zach alluded to by how he responded. Jeremiah Johnson was just in the St. Louis Post, in the music section actually, and this thing's going viral nationally. He's been a blues musician here forever. BB's, Off-Broadway, all of them, right? hadn't really done a lot of music recently. Went in to check his Spotify account, and apparently he had been doing music that, unbeknownst to him, under his page, new singles that were out there released. He looks into it, AI. AI had created new songs with his voice and literally found a way to upload it to his page.
Who does he sue?
Well, somebody had to push the buttons.
Spotify.
Yeah. And,
I mean, it's the DSPs, it's the companies that basically, how do you, you're the one that put it out here. I didn't do this. So,
Wow, that's interesting.
like, can you imagine? Like, eventually you're going to show up at work and there's going to be a robot sitting in your chair smoking a cig.
We are.
And you're going to be like, whoa, wait a second.
You're awesome.
Thank God. I'm out.
You're like, where have you been my whole life?
Well, for those of you who caught our intro, I asked the question, and I want to hear it on air, and we're going to introduce our guest, and he can answer as well. Do we have one of those Sam Sarvers on St. Louis, or anything close?
No, I mean, Betcher would be the closest thing, and then McSorley.
Just because they're American and young?
Well, Betcher has scored goals.
Do we have a mother effer on the team?
We do, but he's also, in my opinion, the worst player on the team, which is Vollum, and he got a red card that cost us the game on Saturday. But yeah, I mean, but no, not an American hero type guy, not a guy that's going to lead like that.
Okay.
Do we have anybody that just let's start here. Let's keep it simple.
Yeah.
Do we have anybody that drinks Modelo? Forget about the piss and vinegar.
I feel like McSorley would be a Modelo guy.
He strikes me.
He strikes me as a guy that would be, I mean, with the mullet and all that kind of stuff. I think he fits the mold. I don't know him personally, and I have no idea about who he is, but it just seems his persona.
In the world of go to college if you're an American, get drafted, dot your I's, cross your T's, get good grades, be a good person, and I'm sure he's a great person. I'm not, I just like the chip. It's a little bit different than the normal, blinder on, I'm going to be really good, I'm going to say all the right things. I just love the John Krukness of him.
Yeah. No, it's cool. We don't have a lot of that in the MLS. We used to in the early days, but it's been a while because it is so buttoned up, and I think the competition's a little different now.
Well, in the early days, though, you had you could argue 50% of the designated players were the American players.
Right.
It was the Harks of the world and everybody that they had a different kind of an attitude.
Yeah. I mean, the Lexi Lawless and those kind of guys that back then were,
So you read your dashboard. You know who's joining us today. Mr. Ian Henry. Thanks for coming down, by the way.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I've listened to a lot of these, so I'm delighted I can now respond to you guys versus just shouting at the radio.
Idiots!
So right out of the gate, for you listeners, obviously our numbers are going to go up. We have a legitimate European accent at the table with us. Your take on the Sarver, the celebration, and kind of the overlap to us trying to attempt to compare contrast with what we have here in St. Louis as far as like who would be that guy. Number one, do you think there's that guy? Number two, do you like guys like that within a program?
Yeah, I would agree with Jared. I think there's, that type of attitude is something that is few and far between. I think it's been probably trained on a lot of people just to be overly politically correct. And, I think social media has probably played a big part in why there's fewer and far, between on those. And you look at somebody like a Roy Keane, just a pure winner. Would do it if social media was around when he was playing.
Paul Gascoigne.
Maybe wouldn't have as many fans as he does right now.
Or more.
Could have more.
Well, different kind. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. We brought you on here. I wanted to bring you on. Number one, we've been talking about this for a long time. But I think, earlier I ran through a potential list of topics here. And, I want to back the bus up just a little bit so our listener kind of understands a little bit of your background, a little bit of your pathway. So why don't we start there? Clearly, you're not from Fenton originally. So where's home? And get us across the pond to whenever we met you as a coach across the street here.
Yeah, I grew up in Dublin, Ireland, playing from local parish team. Had an opportunity to get into a similar sort of an environment to what St. Louis Scott Gallagher is. It was a youth academy. played there until I was 18 and had a chance to come over to the States. Was presented with an opportunity to potentially continue playing, as opposed to, back home I was never going to be a pro. I wasn't at that level. But wanted to continue playing. Loved the sport. Came over to the States, played at Missouri Baptist University, which is a small NAA school here off of Highway 40. And, NAA is a lot different than Division 1. Division 1's like a full-time job, where NAA there's a lot more downtime. And found myself in the spring kind of wanting to continue to be involved with soccer in some way. I knew, again, it wasn't going to be a professional player, so wanted to get involved with coaching, and landed on Scott Gallagher with Ken Godak coaching at the U7 through U12 age group, and got exposed a little bit to Kevin Kalish as well while he was at SIUE, and had the chance to get on board there and coach with him.
So give us time frame. Sounds like 2010, 2011, where were you?
Yeah, graduated in 2011. Did a year with Scott Gallagher before that, and then combined both Scott Gallagher with doing some work with SIUE 2012. It would have been the fall of 2012, and then ended up the spring of 2013 ended up full time again with Gallagher, just with coaching club.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and not to fast forward the timeline, but I think you can kind of bring us into when you kind of got out of coaching, and we'll circle back and talk about if you miss it and all the other things. But what I think is interesting, we surround our show with the youth game, with college recruiting, the high school game, and which is great that you're on the show, because I always wanted to ask you this. So you ended your career coaching kind of the pivotal age group as the academy level with Gallagher. And a lot of the age group and the kids that you coached are now in college, or maybe touching the pro sideline a little bit, and starting to lay their roots down. And is it interesting to see those guys that you coached in and around the area or coached against? What's your overall take on just those kids and how much pride you have in a lot of those kids that are playing high level ball? Yeah,
I think any coach would probably say the same thing. It's not necessarily about the awards, the trophies. Those are they come and go, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I think the biggest thing that gives you the biggest sense of pride is seeing those kids getting those opportunities. And I think I look at coaching almost like I look at being a dad. It's like, and you guys would probably say the same. You've all got kids that you want to be able to give your kids stuff that you probably didn't have. And I think that was probably my approach as well as a coach, was I wanted to make sure that these kids didn't miss out on certain things that I probably missed out on. And it probably didn't do me much favors with some of the kids, because I held high standards, and I saw a lot of potential, and tried to be honest, and probably go back to the Sam Sarver comments, as I probably said stuff that wasn't very politically correct, but I saw what I saw and spoke what I felt, and I often felt like.
Did you say any MLS Next banned words?
No, I did not. No, did get thrown out of an MLS coaching game. It wasn't for what I said.
Let me ask you a more of like a Homer style question. You came over here from Dublin. Yes, please. Yeah, another one. Sorry, we're ordering another bucket of beer for those of you that are wondering. You came over here kind of in an expectation to keep playing. You wanted to play collegiately. Maybe there was a little bit of a thought like, oh, Yanks, I'll go play college. I might still be pro. You saw kind of an end of the line at home. When you think back in time between that mindset prior to coming over and now, which includes all those years as a coach, working with Kalish, working with Goody, and all the crew, and and like Jared pointed out, you've coached some players that are relevant, still relevant, that are still elevating. Were you and or are you surprised by what you saw here? The level of play, the staffs, kind of maybe the culture, the environment. Was that a surprise to you?
Yeah, massive shock. I think like any international kid coming over, I think soccer's romanticized over there. We all think we're better than we are, and there probably wasn't a lot of exposure to American soccer, and it was pretty in its youthful stage. Even as early as the '94 World Cup. But the evolution of the sport, even since 2007, since I've been here, has been exceptional. But yeah, when I first came over, you probably had that mindset of, oh, this should be fairly easy. Yeah, running in 98 degrees, with the substitution rules that they have in the American game as well, it's like there's no, you don't manage your minutes. It's 100 mile an hour from minute one. Come off, go back on. So that was a huge culture shock to me in terms of the way the game was played. But I would say the biggest thing for me is and I would consider myself a St. Louis guy, even though I'm not from St. Louis. But this was kind of where I planted my roots. The soccer community in St. Louis is, I don't think you're going to find it anywhere else in the world. I mean, everybody knows somebody, and everybody's tied in, and it's crazy that how well soccer is treated here in St. Louis.
So, and for our listeners, we've kind of skipped ahead, and we've got a lot of your opinions and remarks thus far on some of the direct questions JB, myself, Zach will ask. Timeline a little bit, like you started how you coached 2011, you started youth, but I know you had some college time too a little bit, so you've been in and around the college game. Talk a little bit about your timeline, like as far as where you coached at in Gallagher at the club towards the end, or even a little bit of the college game, because I think with our listeners knowing that, a lot of your opinions are flat out valid.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I initially started off coaching with the U7 through U12 age group, just a lot of introductory kids, a lot of them coming in from CYC, just wanting to stay with the friends, but kind of being that bridge from unorganized to organized, and how do we help transition that? And I always had aspirations of coaching at the highest level I could potentially coach at. U7 to U12 was awesome, but it probably wasn't scratching the itch, should I say. So I did help out at times with Tim Leonard when he was coaching with the US SDA Academy at the time. And that was my first real exposure to, this is probably the level that I want to be coaching at. And, had an opportunity then to go to Drury University and coach with those guys at Division II program and do the Masters. And I did 2 seasons there with a lot of success, and then had an opportunity to get an assistant coaching role, full-time assistant coaching role at a Division I program in Evansville. Left there, went to Central Arkansas. After Central Arkansas, looped back into the St. Louis world to SIUE. And then after SIUE, got back into the club game, coaching with St. Louis Scott Gallagher's, or St. Louis FC at the time, was their U17 team, which was a pivotal year for those guys for college recruitment. So that was kind of the thought of me going into that age group. And then, I'd say probably after St. Louis City came in town and, shook some things up in terms of the club scene here, it just probably became less enjoyable for me, to where I looked back to get back into college soccer and ended up at Lindenwood. Did a season there and eventually stepped aside and said, I'm hanging up the boots and I'm going to get into the real world and see my family and kids a little bit more.
Go ahead, Zach.
So talk about that. What was that transition like for you? I mean, you watched a lot of kids transition and players transition, and now you've transitioned completely out of the game as far as a paycheck is concerned. So what are you doing now, and do you miss? What do you miss about it, if there is anything?
Oh yeah,
there might not be, but if there is, what is that, and how are things going?
Yeah, there's a lot to miss about it. I think it's very bittersweet, kind of taking the decision to step away. I think it becomes a lot of your identity, and you're going through a midlife crisis of this is what I came here for, this is what I've been doing, and you almost fall into it of I'm a soccer coach, and I think I learned an awful lot of things from the environments that I was in that translated into the real world. And I was presented with an opportunity to manage a small family-run business here in St. Louis, and I was excited about that opportunity, probably a little bit confused as to what I was stepping into, probably a little bit hesitant on walking away, but I think I had to make a decision that was best for not just me but for everybody else around me, and I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed getting to watch the games as a fan now.
So what age and what group are you coaching next?
Yeah, it'll probably be my daughter's team, I'm sure. But no, I've really enjoyed getting to watch it, but miss it. Yeah, I mean, I watch it all the time.
So it'd be appropriate. I mean, we're sitting in a pub. I want to keep this as casual as possible, and I'm thinking about because we live it. We've been living it through our kids at these fields, watching kids go away to play, kids commit, kids are going on visits, and I'm talking about our 3 boys. Mm-hmm. And then there's all of our friends' kids that are already gone and or preparing for the next step. Having spent as much time as you did kind of close to the academies where you see these kids, and then all those years on the road, at these universities and institutions doing the recruiting, etc. Just take a second and give it your own state of the union, right? Because it's all bigger, it's all crazier. Rules changes are coming down the pipe, fast. Do you think that the landscape is better from a college soccer, from a pathway, from a recruiting standpoint, or is it bigger and crazier than what you were experiencing?
Yeah, I think you get a better perspective when you step away and you kind of look at it through a different lens. I think it's, just like anything else, a relationship, you're in it and you think this is how it's supposed to be, but you step away from it, you look in it and you go, wow, there's a lot of flaws potentially in that. But yeah, I think as I look at it, I think it's looking in at the college game right now, I think there's a lot that, if I was in charge of it, which I'll never be, but stuff that I would change with it. I do think it's beneficial that they are going to that 12-month season. I think that's huge. I think the NIL stuff is becoming a little bit ridiculous. But you're always the NCAA. It's great that they have certain rules in there, but it never ends up being a level playing field.
As an ex-foreign player yourself, where are you now that you are a St. Louisan? Where are you on the kind of the international roster impact?
Yeah, I think there's reasons why a lot of the international kids end up coming over here. I think there's probably a little bit of laziness in terms of recruitment, that there's just this assumption that they're coming from this area, they're going to be better. I would look at the standard of high school player coming out of, the environment that I was in growing up in Ireland is a lot higher. And it's easier translatable for those kids into the college game. I think what happens is you'll find some of these guys that may or may not have experiences that haven't been announced that end up getting themselves into a position. And there's loopholes to where, it becomes more about winning, which, coaches are judged on their wins and losses.
You mean paid?
I wish our game was more about winning. I think we would have a better product from a national team down if it was more about managing minutes and developing and all the other bullshit cliche words that everybody talks about. Let's win. But my question to you, as far as and not to jump in, but JB will go on, but do you think with the proposed 5-year clock, do you think the game gets less international in college, or do you think it just stays the same but gets you younger international because of said clock?
Yeah, I think it's going to get older. I look at to me, it should benefit the American kid because the 12 weeks of soccer is not enough for a coach to turn around. I'm going to build a program. I'm going to develop an idea.
Yeah.
It's almost like, give me the tools that are going to win the games for us. It's very rare as a coach going into the development phase of their season and having a real seasonal plan. It's next game, recover, next game, recover. So it's essentially just deploying your weapons.
Yeah.
In the spring,
get results.
In the spring you get a chance to train, but even then it's
so handcuffed with the NCAA and the dates and the fight. It's ridiculous.
Whereas I think now going to a 12-month season, you should start to see a lot more American kids get opportunities because you don't have to get the quick one-hitters in the first 6 weeks.
Do you think there will be a shift or a slide to you led with older, and I agree. But I don't equate that to international older. I think what's going to happen is kids are going to be able to recover quicker from injury. They're going to have a little bit more rest. In the current college game, because of the way that these substitution rules play out, you do see some teams utilize it a lot. And there's a lot of turnover via substitutions, right? Which opens the door for kids that aren't getting minutes, that are younger, that can get the minutes. But if we go to a 2-season, a fall-spring season, you're creating a little bit more cushion for older, bigger, stronger players to kind of add minutes because you do have more recovery. Mm-hmm. Do you see that as a potential byproduct where we're not getting that 25-year-old anymore, but the available minutes could potentially decrease because of the spacing? Yeah,
for sure. And I think there's got to be some sense of restrictions put onto it still even more. You even look at the English Premier League, to register a certain amount of players, they have to be under a certain age, they have to be of a certain nationality. But I would look at, in the short term, a high school freshman is probably not going to get as many minutes as probably what a senior or a fifth-year guy is going to get. And, recovery time, for sure, that plays a part of it. But I think eventually as that ball rolls down the hill, that freshman becomes a junior, senior, and they'll start to eat up a lot of minutes there. But the problem now becomes the transfer portal. You get rid of a senior, you bring in another senior, and that's something that really needs to be fixed. Is that transfer portal?
Well, I think it's fixing itself a little bit because you lose one window.
Yeah, there's a whole window.
I mean, so like, we'll see how it plays out because everybody's speculating. Everybody has a mic or a podcast. We'll give their opinion, and I'll certainly give mine because, like, I think the knee-jerk reaction is the 5-year, it's good for the American. Well, I think that it's going to be a race to get the oldest people in that window to be juniors and seniors, and that's how the transfer portal will evolve. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I think maybe it will go away a little bit because if they put a cap where you can only go once. So it's interesting that, like, if these rules and when they go in place, what the fallout is.
I just think the topic, we've belabored it quite a bit on this show multiple times on international, age, all that stuff. I want to know what the purpose of the NCAA soccer is. Is it just to win games for those universities and those conferences to drive TV revenue? Or is it to develop the next level of American player?
Can we do both?
I think we can, but we can't if we keep the transfer rule the way it is. If we allow, for no penalty or accountability on the transfers, if NIL continues to grow, then we're not. Because we're going to incentivize these organizations, these institutions, to continue to pump money into the wrong player. Might be the best player for them to win that season or those several games, but it's not to develop the next level of American player. And I know we were going to talk about the guys that hate soccer at some point. There was some good points there, and one of them is, if we are trying to develop the next level of American soccer players for the next World Cup in 2030 in Spain, Morocco, and Portugal, the current college market isn't that.
I think
it's not.
I think there's been some ignorance towards the college game. I think there's huge benefits to the college game. I'm sure
Agreed.
we'll get on this topic about high school academy, which should you go with. But I think there's certain things kids are going to learn in a college environment that they're not going to learn in an MLS2 environment.
100%, and that's what I'm agreeing with you. I think the college could be the next level for developing those type of players.
So why don't we just go straight there? You kind of led into it. We've all been knee-deep, neck-deep in the academy, i.e. the non-high school world, i.e., quote, development central, right? Mm-hmm. And, now the boys are all moving into the college game. There's very, very few that are staying kind of put, working their way through twos, et cetera, and that's a whole other debate. But what do you see as the value in college soccer from a macro perspective, looking at these players, knowing the coaches, you're close to a lot of these programs,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Where do you see that when you out of your right eye, but your left eye, you're looking at MLS Next Pro and you're watching some of these 2 games and it's tough.
Yeah.
Where are you on that kind of spectrum?
Yeah, I think in terms of, your ability to mature and grow as a kid, for sure physically, I think you're going to get an awful lot of physical development in the college game. I think you're competing several years up. I think there are chances there for the MLS2 to play against older kids, but at the same time, Eddie Leuven's not coming around and running around and kicking people on a field like he would in an MLS game. It's let's recover from our injury, let's get some minutes under our belt type deal.
Yep.
Whereas you're a freshman kid going against a senior or a graduate and you're getting kicked and you're figuring out, okay, I got to get stronger on this. You learn the game a little bit quicker. But I look at just the ability to develop, be around your friends 24/7, which is, again, I look at the high school environment of, a huge benefit there that you get to develop kind of emotionally and personality, and that can play a part in your game, not just the technical aspect, not just the tactical aspect, but, again, I look at MLS2, there's guys that have been pigeonholed, and I'm not going to name names, but there's guys that have been pigeonholed and potentially hurt their careers because they've been jammed into this environment.
And I think Caden Glover is the guy. I mean, you don't have to confirm or deny that, but you've been around him, and Jason probably listens, and he doesn't want my opinion.
It's a good thing we don't have video.
I mean, it's for sure it's hurt him.
I think there's several, and not just even in the St. Louis environment.
I think it's across the board. Yeah.
It's across the board. Like kids, the get your name on the back of a paper, and even from just a club standpoint, St. Louis City, the worst thing they did was try and fast track the process for kids to get, homegrown statuses. Nobody was ready for it yet. They weren't exposed to it. They didn't go through the proper channels to say they're ready for it. You're going on a pipe dream, and you're putting a gap on somebody's progress to go in a different avenue in the hope that they end up panning out with something that you want, as opposed to signing a kid on a homegrown contract because they're going to play 20 games a season. That's the difference for me, is you don't sign somebody on that homegrown contract unless they're playing week in, week out.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll say to that is, as a nerd, I have the FC 25 or 26 on PlayStation 5 to see Caden Glover, Miggy Perez, Makai Joyner, and Tyson, and you can play as them. That's kind of cool, but not worth missing out on your future, in my opinion.
And here's the thing: if you're over in Europe and you're getting hundreds of $1,000s, a week, as an 18-year-old kid to do it, okay, maybe you make that decision. You take the chance on yourself, but it's not life-changing money, for a homegrown deal, and it's
and I'm glad you brought that up, because there's the other part of it, and that is the NCAA effect. That once they do sign those contracts under current rules, they're out. I know there's some talk that if they integrate back into the system, they're out of contract. That if it's before set age, then they might allow them back in. But that's pipe dream right now. And I was thinking about this the other day, because a lot of these options, a lot of these deals that are being made for that not true homegrown, but like these short-term 2 contracts, you're talking pennies. Mm-hmm. And these are kids that are viable, certifiable Division I prospects that could go somewhere. And just let's say the average school is $60,000 a year, even at half a ride. Well, I'm pretty good at math. I'm pretty sure that's about $120,000. Boom, right there. That's what you made, right?
And there's residual value on it as well, because you're getting a degree. And at the end of your 2 years of playing 2, what do you have now? Well, you're losing money to try and get your degree.
Well, and the other thing in the States right now is, and we were talking about this texting about USL. Okay. They are flying under the radar. They just have a new collective bargaining agreement. And for those of you that are wondering, who's USL? Well, that's the other pro league. It's growing. It's fast. Being led, actually, one of the leaders is our boy, Allen Ball, right? That the new collective bargaining agreement for their top tier, their championship level, is the lowest pay is $40,000. The average pay is going up above $60,000, and a lot of the first teamers, bigger contracts are going to be $90,000, $100,000, up to $150,000, and so on. Just go down to the bottom one, right? If a kid's coming out, out of school and they have a degree, whatever, and they go and like, I'm still interested in playing. Well, you don't have to look at just the 30 MLS teams anymore. You have another 20, 25, 30 teams that are in USL that for a kid coming out, if they're smart about it, they can have a lot of fun playing the game, get paid, and traveling around. It's just, my point is, options. Could you have imagined when you came over here that there would be 30 MLS teams and then roughly another 30 USL teams? I get it, it's not the FA, but it's kind of starting to look like it, where you have options.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's probably a big piece of the evolution of it, to where kids are getting more of those opportunities, and maybe people close to them or know them are seeing those opportunities, wanting to get involved in soccer as well. So did I see that as an 18-year-old kid in 2007 looking at? I didn't see it that way. I didn't think it was going to go that way, but it is awesome that it has gone that way. They have the options. I just hope people make smart decisions.
Well, let's do our things. You want to take a break?
Yeah, I want to take a quick break. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna run through our fun talking points, since we just solved all the world's problems, at least some of them, right? Do you feel
we certainly discussed them. Yeah.
Do you feel better about that?
Yeah, much better. Yeah.
I feel terrible.
Do you?
You look terrible.
Dude, I look delicious.
We're down here, Fenton Bar and Grill. Ian Henry's our guest today, joining us. We're going to come back. We're going to chop it up. Current events, rapid fire style. All right, we're back. Second half, Fenton Bar and Grill. Sitting here with our buddy Ian Henry. It's been a minute, man. How long's it been? Probably 6, 9, 12 months since we've seen you around?
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, it's been 3 years since I stopped coaching. So
yeah, you miss it. Zach kind of alluded to it. You say, well, I'll probably coach my daughter. You're looking at teams. Break the news here. What club you signing with?
No comment. No comment.
Yeah,
No
right.
comment.
So that's the Stars.
No.
I was fortunate enough. He came out and watched the boys play their last game against Cincinnati. So I got to slam a beer with him during that game. It was pretty cool.
Like I told you guys before the break, we were going to come back. We're going to start jumping through some fun stuff here. You go first.
Yeah, might as well keep the tone a little morose and talk about the English Premier League and how next year.
I don't even know what that word means.
I know.
He's still watching like MISL VHS tapes in his office.
No, the fact that Tottenham is one game away from being relegated for the first time in the Premier League history is awful. And West Ham is in the same boat. One of those two are going down. And those are two monster clubs. And personally, I'll be sad, but I kind of as a fan hope maybe it does happen and shake some things up because it's bad.
It would definitely make every game next year a little bit more exciting for you.
Yeah, but I also wanted to bring up one other thing, and it's the amount of content out there now for soccer. We alluded to it at the break or in the opening, but Mike Sarver is a part of a Fubo TV series that's really, really good, and I highly recommend that. JB, you need to put that in the show notes. And then HBO just came out with a new documentary on the U.S. men's national team for this coming World Cup. The Sarver version was the '94 World Cup leading up to that. Very cool stories about how, Ian, you talked about the emergence of
All
soccer.
college players.
Yes.
Go ahead.
All college guys. Now you look at the roster of the U.S. men's national team. Out of the 26 guys, there's
3, maybe 4.
that played meaningful college. So I think there's some things that are shifting around, but just the fact that the growth of the sport is creating that content.
Well, I think you walked right into that trap in a good way, and I think you would agree with this. When you look at 94 team and some of the early 2000s teams, they were on paper significantly more successful than this quote golden age of players that are almost exclusively elite European. What is the common denominator?
College.
Their kind of competitive background. Where do they come from? Where they play.
I also think
so.
there's more to
You're our guest. So shaking your head a little bit here. You can't see that on YouTube because it's all audio. When you hear us kind of lay a take like that, now that you've been here this long, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think like kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. Is like this stuff that you can learn in the college environment, and being with your buddies, and being against the wall, fighting and scraping for results. It's a lot different than what it would be if they're playing overseas in the EPL and they got 38 games to figure it out. Whereas very quickly in your season, it's win or go home.
Yeah, learn how to win a game when you got to defend 6 long throw-ins in November.
For sure. And the first time majority of the American kid gets that is probably at the college level.
Yeah.
They miss out on it all throughout their youth career. And unless they're playing for a team that year in, year out is competing for those trophies, they don't even get it, when they're playing over in Europe.
Well, take it one step back, too, because the other reality, and we talk about this often, is within so many of these academies, specifically at the MLS level, the true MLS academies, and to a degree some of the elite academies that compete like a Gallagher, like a Strikers, there's a mindset for a lot of these kids that is not team-focused. It is about the training. It's about them fighting not for preparing for the team they're going to play on Saturday. It's competing against the kid that plays their position on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday at training. Having come from the academy system, because this is one thing I'm about to bring up, is there's a guy online that basically he swears up and down it's about training and tactical, and I think that ship has sailed. I'm a mental competitive kid, right? See, how do you look at kind of the world of training? Too much? Not enough?
Too much. For sure, too much. And I think it's probably to justify the fact that we've got full-time coaches at a youth level, that we have to train 4 nights a week. You don't need to train 4 nights a week. I think it is too much, and I've now got a son who's in baseball, and he's every second
That's
day.
even more.
Yeah,
the frequency might be more in high level baseball.
You have batting
for sure.
practice and
everything, and he's God bless him, he's he's rolling with the wind, and but I'm sure he'll look back in it later and go, God, I missed out on some of those opportunities, and prom just happened recently, and even to a certain point, some kids skip out on prom because they've got games the next day, and it's like, kids have to be kids.
We get hung up, though, comparing ourselves to European academies and all of this other stuff, and we're talking about the game of soccer. So let's be frank, they eat, breathe, and sleep it, and they play the same frequency. It's all day long, and they go to school a little bit. So, it's a little bit different, but I think our geography and our mass and just our melting pot, this isn't like the European academy can play 30 games and within an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Well, our academies can play 30 games and they travel 15,000 miles a fall. So we can't compare ourselves to European academies. That's the thing where I think we're failing at. Because they do it over there and they have success, we're completely different. We got to evolve. I mean, our things have to be regional. And we have to play for something that matters. And until U.S. Soccer gets it, and then the cream of the crop will rise out regionally, and then send 50 kids in each region, in each age group together, and let them go batter fucking heads.
Isn't that the ODP model? I mean, that's what we did going into '94. I wanted to ask you guys, and Ian included, the one thing that seems different to me is it realistic that somebody's going to take Weston McKinney's spot? Or Christian Pulisic's spot? Is that realistic?
I don't think that's what
it is.
But I don't think that's what we're saying. I think whenever you have players that are quote elite, that are kind of guaranteed the slots, that are in a position in which you don't have that dirty, gritty.
That's what I'm getting at.
Threat.
No. Let me finish my thought, because my point is that's the difference
Get it
in the
out
94.
quicker.
In the '94, because
drum harder.
No one was guaranteed a spot. Maybe Thomas Dooley. Beyond Thomas Dooley, there was no guarantee that anybody, and they were all fighting for months and months and months in those camps because there wasn't these stars. Now you have the golden generation. They're expected to play in every single game, and I'm not shitting on them. I'm really not. I think the pressure on Pulisic is unimaginable at his age and what he's been through in the last 8 years. But I still feel like we don't have the competition.
Fuck the pressure.
No. What I'm getting at is, I'm not saying that's an excuse for him not to perform. What I'm saying is, I don't think we've created the environment to challenge those guys in those environments, because they are playing at the elite level. So when they come back over here, they know nobody from playing college is going to take their spots. It's never going to happen.
Could it be just as simple as they're not good enough? I mean, let's call a spade a spade. If you're playing for AC Milan, or you're playing at Juve, or you're in the Premier League with Fulham like Jedi, etc., right?
Nobody's taking this spot.
You have no excuses when you all get together to continually underperform.
Yeah, but you kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier as well about the difference, with a lot of, academy-age kids, they're fighting for themselves. They're not exposed to what's the reward if we dig in together as a team. Like, we get to win this cup. We get to win this.
It's a miracle. Where's Herb Brooks at when you need him?
The only time they get it is at the MLS Next Cup or their ECNL.
You're hitting my
finals.
point.
It's
the only place you get it, as in my opinion, is at MLS Next Flex, because you can get to that other place, and that's where it's the most juice in the MLS brand for youth soccer.
Yeah,
the games mean something. And it's eerie how different the games are from Fest to Flex, and then I get the playoff games are one thing, but as soon as you lose in the playoffs, and I get it, and then it becomes part-time. But hey, you went first. I'm going to go again.
Go.
I have to tell you this. I have to bring it up. Did anybody see the stat coming out of MLS Next Pro? Arif Kovic. He scored 5 goals in one half, which is an MLS Next Pro record, and they just beat Huntsville, whoever that is. Huntsville, I think it's another MLS Next Pro team, 6-2. And dude had 5 goals. And look at him on the video. the goals are phenomenal.
Header, left foot, right foot.
I mean, and so this kid played 19 Gallaghers last year for Tritt. He had a dynamite fest. We weren't a very good team. Drew was on the team, and he got picked out of there. Every college was walking up the sideline, who's that kid, and he was going to Atlanta United. They picked him up. Bosnian family, good kid, but the goals are dynamite. Look at him.
I will. I'm excited about that.
I coached a Reef at, God, it was U15, and I think his, when they made that combination year, he was kind of overshadowed by some of the other kids and wasn't getting some of that playing time that he probably needed and in my opinion, probably deserved. And I think he's a centre forward, right? And centre forwards always get labelled with they're selfish, they're lazy, right? They don't pass. He's judged on his goals, and he's got to take risks. And Arif, I always watched him and thought he's a kid that's going to try and do something. He's not just going to lay it off backwards. He's going to try and make the game happen.
He has great feet.
Maybe 3 times out of 10 it'll hit the target, but at least maybe 1 or 2 of those is going to go in. It's going to win you a game. And
I mean, if you hit a 98-mile-per-hour fastball 3 times out of 10, you're making about $32 million a year.
You're a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, his dad, his dad is his biggest fan, his biggest believer as well. And he puts, I wouldn't necessarily say too much pressure on him, but I think his dad sees what Arif can do, and I'm loving seeing him right now getting these opportunities in a different city.
It's cool.
That he probably could have been benefiting from here. And the frame, 6'5", he's not slow, he can move, he can hit his left foot, right foot.
He does really well with hold-up play as a center forward.
And I'm not going to, throw this name out lightly, but you watch some of the way he plays, and it's very similar to Zlatan. He's in control a lot with the ball. He's not as flashy as Zlatan, but he knows what he's doing. He's in control, he can find a goal, he can find a shot.
What is he, 18?
I think he's probably
maybe 19 now.
He's 19.
5 goals. I mean, I don't care what position you're playing, what level you're playing, what team you're playing, but when you're 18, 19 and you're playing in a game where there's money being awarded to people in the game and you score 5 goals, it's pretty hitting.
So let's stay in the MLS. What I want to talk about is for St. Louis City in particular. In my opinion, we have take all the personal stuff out. By personal, I mean player personal stuff. The only upside, the only shiny light right now when it comes to the whole season is that we're in 14th place out of 15.
I know where you're going.
And 15 is Kansas City.
And they're way worse than us.
So, well, Zach, would you agree or disagree?
I agree.
Because other than that,
I agree, but what's weird is even though we're in 14th place, we're 6 points out of the playoffs.
What's that?
We're only 6 points out of the playoffs.
Right. And we've been in our best form in the last 3.
We haven't lost in 3 games.
Yep.
So
we're a completely different team when Leuven's on the field.
Yes, when Leuven's on the field,
completely different team.
We're different. When Volum's off the field, we're better. Just my personal opinion.
Just imagine a goal scorer up top as well.
Hey, Lewandowski, just throwing that out there. He's retiring. I'll take Antoine Griezmann.
Well, that's okay. I didn't want to get into the weeds. I just wanted to point out that we are not in last.
What about a Reef?
Shit, why not? I mean, why not? Why, if you don't want to spend the money on a Lewandowski, which we're never going to do, then find a local guy that actually can score goals.
Well,
and what about the tickets you would sell in the Bosnian community?
Oh my God!
Well, and this goes back to year 1. We mentioned his name earlier, Caden. I remember talking to the staff over at the club, the digital staff. They were talking about the team page, and there's Berkey and Klaus and everybody, and they said they were amazed. Like, I asked, "What are you surprised by with the new app?" And they're like, "The player popularity." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Who's number 1?" Ha ha ha. Thinking, of course, it's Berkey. It was Caden Glover.
Well, you asked me earlier, about the culture shock that probably I had, or surprised by. One thing I've realized is St. Louis loves St. Louis. Whether it's the Cardinals, whether it's the Blues, and I used to always say it as well. Quietly. Now I'm saying it on a mic, but you'd look at the team news, and for 28 weeks in a row, not a single St. Louis kid on a roster. It's like, you want to put asses in seats, put a St. Louis kid in there.
Yeah.
When you look at Tommy Barlow is on the
Was
list
available.
of potential. Sargent probably a little bit far-fetched because he's going to cost a little bit more money, but Jansen Miller, who's a starting centre back. You've got Muni, who's at. They obviously went through the draft system, which is a little bit different. They kind of miss out on those opportunities, but another player that they missed out on that they thought they were going to get is Patrick Schulte.
Yeah.
So I think you get St. Louis kids or players, locals, on that roster. The fans will get behind you.
I agree. And you look at what Michael Bradley's doing in New York with Sarver on the staff. Yes, it's a Jurgen design to a degree, but they're doing very well. That stadium, that facility, what they built out there, unbelievable. And they're taking risks with their own guys, and it's paying off because they're giving them the confidence to go out and do what you've been trained to do by us. We've invested all this money and time in you. Now show us.
Yeah, that flywheel of, well, you don't have enough experience. Well, can I play? You don't have enough experience. But can I play? You don't have.
And I'm
saying?
sorry.
Like,
The delta
people
between
they're not even listening to themselves when they say shit like
but
that.
the guys that are starting 11 for St. Louis City, the delta between them and the next guy down is not that significant.
No.
It really isn't. And I
No.
think there's so many other guys out there that could step in and be just as effective that are local, that are not from Norway or fill in the blank Eastern European country.
Speaking, one last thing, then I know we're planning on getting out of here. We did have a goal scorer, right?
Yeah.
Now he wasn't a Sarver partier. It was kind of on the opposite end of the anti-partying thing, but big personality. And because of the personality, we said no, we don't want to touch that. And then, did you notice over in Austria, he and another American are the leading scorers.
You're talking about Sam?
Sam Adinarin.
Yeah.
And they're one game away from qualifying for the Champions League. So here's a guy that, because we don't like his attitude, not good enough, is like, okay, bouncing, and he legitimately might be playing in Champions League next year.
Well, if there was any player on the roster, Jordan, his year that fit the game model, it was him.
Yeah.
Right.
And he was a sub.
Right.
The whole year.
Yeah.
And then we got rid of both him and the other guy that was starting over him, who just is out for the rest of the season now, Klaus.
I love it. I tell you what. Hey, Diego, down there on, what is that, 22nd Street? Give us a call. You need some help? We can piece this thing together. We're cheap. Buckets of beer and trash wings over at Fenton Bar and Grill, and we're in.
Where's he from?
Argentina.
He doesn't like bucket of Miller Lights and wings. He likes ceviche and wine. Beat it, Diego.
All right. Soccer Dad Pod, man. Really appreciate you guys sticking around with us. Ian, thanks for joining us, man. Really enjoyed you sitting down.
Yeah, thanks for having
chopping it
us.
up a little bit. Fellas, not too bad. For what is today? What day of the week is today?
This is Tuesday. May 19th.
All right. There you go, people. Like, review, follow, share. It's all free. Till next time. See ya.